Hey there, welcome to B2B Revenue Leaders. I'm your host, Dustin Tizik. This episode is brought to you by Testimonial Hero. Testimonial Hero is focused on creating strategic video testimonials to accelerate all stages of your buyer's journey and ultimately close more deals faster. On today's episode, I'm joined by Aly McGue, who is the Director of Customer Marketing at Amplitude. So we start off by declaring the case study is dead and chat a bit about who killed it. We talk about how to build an efficient advocacy pipeline and how to get customers to say yes to reviews, testimonials, and other advocacy initiatives. Hey, Aly, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I was excited when we were talking before this and, figuring out topics, and you said a line that I felt, which is the case study is dead. I want to kick it off with that. I have my thoughts there. But yeah, why do you feel it's dead? And, what caused it to die?
Yeah, so hot take, I guess. But my thought is with everything that we do with customer advocacy, my team's biggest mission is to be authentic. So there is so much out there that is inauthentic these days. So how do we create authentic, valuable content and valuable activities for our customers? And for me, a case study is not a authentic piece of content. Going into it, it's always going to be positive. It's, something that requires a lot of hoops from the customer, legal and, comms to look over. And oftentimes that message just gets, slashed and slashed and slashed until it's, generic enough to put out. And, sometimes you don't have that happening with the customer, but for the most part, when you work with really large companies, that's what ends up happening. And so in the end, what you have is a piece of content that's good, but I don't think it really speaks to what a buyer always wants to hear. They want to hear the unfiltered truth, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly sometimes, which we don't always put in content, but absolutely, if it's good, they want to hear the whole story. And oftentimes that gets stripped away. So for me, I have my team rely on other forms of content where the customer can really tell their full story. So we have a customer blogging program where the customer works with us to write their own blogs. And I feel that they can tell more of their journey that way. We also work with them on opportunities for sales references and speaking opportunities, award ops, things where they can be their authentic selves. And it's also more valuable to them because they're able to share their bread and butter, what they did, and others can learn from them, which when you're working with product people, like we often are, marketers, CS, engineering, they want to hear, how did you do this? What did you do? And how can I implement it? This Monday, what can I do? So that's why I feel like it's, a dying art, the case study.
Yeah, and I think, I harp on this a lot. So for our listeners, I'm probably being a little repetitive here, but, trust is at a premium now, I think. In my opinion, it's why people are going to their communities. I don't buy anything without going to a Slack group or talking to a peer and saying, hey, what do you think of this? So I like the authentic approach there. The other thing I've struggled with case studies is the process, right? So often it was usually sales driven as a checkboxy thing. Hey, we're going into this industry. I need a case study from someone in the industry. Don't care what it says. Don't care about the problem we solved. I need a name. And at that point, we get it done, we post it, it goes out into the ether, and it's not used to actually drive revenue or throughout, the whole buyer's journey, which is kind of what I think is lacking with a lot of social proof, honestly, is, it waits till the end, till you're at the very end and they're about to sign a contract. And I think you need it, built in different sizes and segments throughout.
Yeah, I really agree there. A big part of the work that I've been doing at Amplitude is pushing customer advocacy at every point of the customer and prospect journey. As early as possible, we can get advocacy involved, the better for us. And making sure that the materials are materials that people want, that people are looking for, and that are not just materials where, we're doing exactly what you just said, checking the box. Instead, it's like, why are we creating this piece of content? How can we create the most valuable piece of content? And maybe it's not content. Maybe it is that we just need to have great reference calls, great one-to-many user groups, great one-to-one user groups. Like, what can we do to influence the deals that are going on with our great customer champions, which we have? We have a fantastic greenfield base of customers who absolutely love Amplitude. So let's find the right opportunities to showcase their knowledge and not just create more things to create them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I like, first off, it's great that you're in that position where you have a bunch of customers that love you. It makes your life a lot easier, I'm sure.
It does.
But like you said, you want to find the right piece of content, the right customer, the right story. When you have a lot to choose from or you don't know where to start, how do you map that out and figure out these are the customers I'm going to reach out to at these points in their customer journey?
Yeah. So basically, we've gone about it a couple different ways. First of all, this year, when it comes to our actual content, we matrix the content needs with leaders from a bunch of different teams. So I sit, leading advocacy, I sit underneath PMM. And so product marketing and product partner and customer marketing are all in that team. And so we meet with that team or met with that team about what was important to them this year, what use cases, what key themes they wanted us to talk about and to hone in on with our customer stories. And then we also met with leaders from sales, leaders from CS, other marketing leaders to find out what was the most important. And from there, matrixed the top themes that we were going after this year. We push
Mhm.
out quite a bit of content when it comes to our customer stories. So we wanted to make sure that at least one story a quarter hit our theme, each theme. So we have 7 key themes. So we at least need 7 stories that hit these themes. And then we have about 5 sub themes that can be covered off in the top line, 7 themes. So for example, if we have like a competitive piece of content, if it's also from EMEA, that's great. We cross out those 2 themes that we've hit off. If it's, we talk a lot about retention and how Amplitude can help you with retention. So that's a key theme for us. But also, if the customer is a fintech company, that's great. So we can knock off
Yeah.
those. So we matrixed our themes and made sure that we honed in on customers that are in those areas. We have many customers. So it actually helps us to have this fine tuning of who we should go after, account teams to talk to and whatnot, and find the right customers to fill in the program. And now with our content program, specifically our blogging program, what's nice is that we have a lot of past stories to showcase to the new customers that are going to participate. So lots of sound bites, lots of how they've used these over social, how they've used these for personal and brand promotion. So people want to do them, and then we can talk through the specific areas that we want them to focus on. When it comes to injecting the content that we're creating earlier on in the journey, what we did was map where we have holes and make sure that we're creating specific areas to delight the customers. So if it's a, post sales, that journey can be a black hole oftentimes of what they've downloaded, what they've looked at, where they need help. And so we really want to focus on that post sales journey. We do a lot on the pre-sales too, but we do a much better job with understanding or being able to track what someone's seen, what sales has sent them. And so where we're really focusing from an advocacy team now is where are the areas that we can focus that are post sales. So how can we help
Mhm.
enable our customers once they've already chosen Amplitude with great best practice stories? So we do a lot of work there as well.
Nice. I think that's a key thing to call out because that's kind of a neglected area, in my opinion, of advocacy is, like you said, post sale, but also just like net revenue retention is kind of king right now, where we're all trying to be efficient and keep our customers and hopefully have them buy more from us. But that's where those, especially, a product like yours, where you can frequently roll out different types of features and different options and opportunities to expand their usage within the platform. That's where those, like you said, authentic stories of here's how I used it, here's why I did it, here's the result from a customer point of view. I can see that. That's something we've been highlighting as well. And we, like, you're really speaking the same language here. We call it trust gaps, really. It's like, where are those points where they need that little nudge and proof? But I like that you're mapping them out there. I guess
Yeah.
on the other end, you kind of mentioned this with, promoting their brand and everything. How do you get them to say yes then? Because I find a lot of people get stuck there. They come up with their list. I want these customers, and then nothing.
Yeah, I actually feel like this is my superpower. Everyone says that they have a superpower for their job. Like for the past whatever 12, 13, 14 years, what I've really honed is the relationship building. I think that is incredibly important when you are in customer marketing, customer advocacy, to make sure that your number one priority is the relationship with your customers and growing that relationship and making sure that your team, your advocacy team or your customer marketing team has those relationships. But also as I said at the start of this, the value needs to be there in every activity,
Yeah.
right? So, why would this person want to participate in this activity? What is interesting about it? What is unique about it? What are you offering them that makes this a really good opportunity for them? And make sure to lead with that, honestly. And so we outline activities to our customers, or what we try to offer to them are only things that I would personally see the benefit in, or I can understand the value for them to participate. I try not to do anything that is a one-sided gain for Amplitude. So that's absolutely the way we go about it. And then from there, we have a rather robust customer advocacy program that is external for anyone, called AMP Champs. Our Amplitude AMP Champ program is our advocacy program. So anyone can join who's a customer. And that's a pool that's large that we could ask these people, given the qualifications of any activity, if they want to participate. And we've honed in the value prop for a lot of these big activities. So we can go to them or work with their account team on what's the right way to approach this person. And, if it's an executive, so VP plus, we treat differently than everybody else. So how do we go about curating the right activities for those people? Requires a lot more thought, actually, and a much different approach than it might for our AmpChamp group. But again, it really boils down to the relationship, building the relationship, and the value. And we see great success with folks doing our programs. I mean, we've had everyone from, Walmart participating in our programs to, Ford, who we have videos with, to just now, we just recorded some customer videos with Fender and Spirit Airlines. So
nice.
Really, really excited about the customer caliber that we have. And it's not only enterprise customers. I mean, we have so many other customers of different sizes, startups and beyond, that use Amplitude. And I love to kind of sprinkle the love to everyone. And we have some amazing customers. So that relationship building really helps to make sure that we can showcase all those different groups.
Oh, that's awesome. There's a few things I kind of want to highlight there. It's like thinking about it as a pipeline and a program, not an ad hoc activity you do every 3 months.
Yeah.
Because that's where I've got stuck before. So thinking back, my background's mostly like B2B marketing at SaaS companies. Oftentimes, all of a sudden, we would need a bunch of G2 reviews because our competitor just got a ton. And then we're playing catch up, and it's CS. Can I reach out to all 200 people? Which ones can I reach out to? Yeah. And then you're behind the 8 ball, and it's almost too late at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key point, is having that ongoing pipeline, and the win-win is key as well. I've done advocacy for companies I like, some selflessly, some a little bit selfishly, like, oh, you're going to post, my blog article on HubSpot because I use your product. That's good exposure. I'll do that.
Exactly.
Right. So finding that win-win is really key there. One thing I wanted to ask too is, you have, with your product, it's pretty unique because you have a bunch of different buyer personas, right? A lot of people within a company could potentially use Amplitude. And I imagine that's part of the matrix you have, like where you overlay and figure out what you need. But depending on the persona, is your approach different? Like, do you have to tailor your messaging, the ask, what people might be interested in? How do you think through that?
So we haven't had to tailor our messaging too much, maybe a little bit for a marketer versus engineering and product. But I think what's been really important is knowing the account really well, more than anything else. So even if I don't have a relationship with that person, we have incredibly close relationships with the account teams. So whether that be sales or CS, they are in lockstep, and we want to be in lockstep with them. So my team works really closely to make sure that we are constantly meeting with account teams, knowing exactly what accounts are doing well, what accounts are struggling, how we can help, even if it is for us super unselfish. Like, we have a customer that is huge and they are onboarding a ton of people right now. They've gotten through like general onboarding, but now the team that is using Amplitude wants to expand the usage to all those other teams. So usually what we see with Amplitude is like a product team buys us and then evangelizes us to the rest of the company. So that marketing and CS and engineering and other teams executives can start to use Amplitude. So what we want to do is make that easier and attach advocacy to that. So what swag can we do? What customer stories can we bring? How can we help facilitate trainings? How can we trade marketing rights for for certain things. So, we really want to enable them to do the best and make sure that, we can also use them as a great customer name to either name drop or use in different activities that we have coming up after they've, been, hitting those key milestones of success.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that the cross-functional part is key because there's nothing worse than having to fight with another department to, like, if they're gatekeeping the customer, you can't
Yeah.
talk to my customer. No, not allowed. Stay away. And that's the worst. And like we see, like I've been through that personally. We have customers, we are a testimonial company. We create video testimonials. We have customers as well who, I want these 5 customers, but the account manager didn't see us and it's back and forth and it's a struggle. So I think that's, a really key point there. And then one more thing I wanted to ask about, like you have this very well-defined, thought out, very personalized approach, which is awesome. Are there other parts that you automate, like smaller
Yeah.
things like a review ask or yeah?
Yeah, I was
What
just
does
gonna get
that look
into
like?
that actually. That's the reviews. Ooh, reviews are like a necessary evil. We have to do them.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like luckily for Amplitude, our reviews are always great. So actually we glean a lot of fantastic info from our reviews. So I'm not hating on the review. I'm hating on the process
Mhm.
of the constant revolving wheel of having to keep up with reviews is just painstaking,
Yeah,
especially for my team member Connor. He's probably like, rolling his eyes right now because it is so much work for him. And, proud to say that for 11 quarters thus far, we've been in the number 1 spot for product analytics when
nice.
it comes to G2, but we've expanded our work. So not only are we on G2 now and we're in several categories for G2, but we also are on Gartner Peer Insights. We do, some light work with other sites like Trustpilot and Trust Radius. And so we want to make sure that when we're putting a big emphasis into reviews that we can do that in a way that is as low touch as possible because in the past
Yeah,
it's been a lot of manual work. We do not want to do everything manually. We're a very small team at Amplitude. There's 3 of us. So we want to
yeah,
make sure that as much as we can automate, like you said, we do. So we found a process that works with asking customers to give us a review. What's great about Amplitude is if you dive into Amplitude, you can see the customers that are using Amplitude the most. So we can pull
mhm,
those lists of in the past 60, 90 days, who's using Amplitude often, what are they doing? Let's target those people to leave us a review. They're using us all the time. So that makes my job certainly a lot easier. And we can do review campaigns, and those can be
mhm.
run quarterly, and those can be a little bit more automated. And then we're only doing these like personal outreaches to a few specific customers. When it comes to automating other things, when we talk about the journey, right? I want to automate a lot of parts of that journey and I want to make it a seamless process for our customer. So, as I mentioned before, I'm really focused on post sales stuff right now. So I want, for example, an automated welcome email for our customers from
Mhm.
the advocacy team. I want an automated gift welcoming them with Amplitude swag. I want a automated milestone series. So after they hit specific product milestones, how can we celebrate them as an advocacy and customer marketing team and push them to join our advocacy program, to gain more knowledge of Amplitude by joining our university or education programs. Because selfishly, the more they learn about Amplitude, the more they grow with us, the more likely that they're going to be loyal to us and also want to do other activities with us. So I want to
Yeah,
help those other teams, whether that be our community group, which we have a Slack community called Cohort, or our education and university group. I want to have those teams succeed and plug those teams into my materials because their success is our success. So that makes things really nice. So injecting them along the milestone series. So things like that, the beginning part of the customer's journey, and then finding areas, whether that be renewal time, times around upsells, where we can inject ourselves in an automated way, I think is going to be really important. We're just dabbling with that, but I think there'll be some great ways that we can really help influence pipeline as well. It's a hard year right now.
yeah.
2023 is not the banger year I thought it was going to be for everybody. So we want to make sure that we are helping to retain customers, and that the advocacy team, the customer marketing team, is always helping with pipeline, and whether that be new customers or retaining and upselling the current customers that we have. So what are the things that we can do there to help impact that, help our sales partners, help our CS partners to be successful?
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. And I like that a lot of what you just mentioned is focused on the give, like what does the customer actually get out of this? Because that's a hesitancy as well. And probably why people, hoard their customer and relationships, because they think it's just going to be an ask, like
Yeah.
always getting favors. So I think that's a key point. On the timing thing, one that we've had luck with, because our ask is a bit bigger, right? Like asking someone to get on camera for 30 minutes.
Yep.
A lot different than asking them to do a 15-minute G2 review or a 10-minute review. So we actually built that into like a discount trigger on the front end, actually, where before they even buy, say, hey, we're going to give you, X% off. If you're happy with us in 6 months, would you be willing to give us, a video testimonial? We're never going to hold them to it and be like, you said you would, but it kind of plants that seed early on. And that's a weird one. I've never done that at another company, but here it actually works.
That's really interesting. We
which I
do
thought was kind of
something
interesting.
kind of similar. And right now I'm actually working on, about a campaign around product launches. So basically, when we have customers joining alphas or betas, how can we encourage that group to be more vocal later on when the product launches, right? And previously at Amplitude, there wasn't as much stringent, push from the product team to be talking to the customers, being advocacy evangelists, I would say. So they haven't asked them to do as much for us later on. They're just stoked to be hearing from the customer and getting their feedback on the product that they're going to launch. We're changing that. We have really worked to strengthen the relationship with product so that we can put together a better flow for what it looks like after they've joined these betas, so that we're holding them. Of course, we're not like saying you have to do this, but part of joining a beta is the fact that we want to hear from you. It's so important that we gather this information from you throughout, whatever set period of time. So if you're not comfortable giving us a public testimonial, that's fine. Give us something private. Our entire company would love to learn from your successes, or, what you've tested and tried and what failed for you. We want to know, we want to get better. And I can confidently say that everyone at Amplitude is a big learner. So we share this information. We have channels on Slack about customer love and customer impact. And we want to hear what is going well for a customer. So even if they're not doing it externally for us, having them signing up to do an internal testimonial is almost just as impactful. So we work that into the process too. So a little bit similar to what you were saying around the discounting, but instead it's like signing up for that earlier. You've already become a customer, but now you're signing up for a beta. Here's what's involved in being part of this beta.
Yeah. No, a lot of it is just expectation setting and getting that in their head early, which is exactly what you're doing there. And I agree on the research internal side. It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I've been pitching this as a product idea to our customers recently, which is almost exactly what you're doing. Is if you have a big launch and you have beta customers, if you could create, a compilation sizzle reel video of quick shots, here's why they used it, here's why it's awesome. That's a killer asset to upsell and get expansion. I don't think we've had many people take us up on that, but I like that idea. So
I love it. We would certainly use it. The thing is, a lot of the time previously, we didn't know when product was having these conversations or who they were talking. Like each product person kind of manages their own pipeline of stuff. And so getting closer to them and putting these things in place are allowing us to not only be able to track our customers who are likely evangelists for us, right? They're definitely champions. They love Amplitude and now they want to test out new products. We want to make sure that we are absolutely tracking those people. And now we can, because we're going to have better views into their list, more transparency there, but also making sure that we're collecting more stories. So we could create something like a sizzle reel, or at least like a one-sheeter that has, great quotes from these customers. And, that leads to more impactful content for sales, for CS, which hopefully leads to more content that they can use in their deals, which leads to more pipeline. And that's what we want to do. We want to influence pipeline, and we want to make sure that we create more customer love.
that is the perfect way to sum it up and end it. So I'm going to cut it there. I think that's a great way to end it. I'm sure we could geek out about this all day. We're, similar ideas here and a lot to share. For our listeners, though, if they want to learn more from you, learn more about Amplitude, where should they go?
Yeah. So ideally, if you want to learn more about Amplitude, go to amplitude.com. But if you want to look at any of the programs that we do, check out Amp Champs, which is housed under our resources section on Amplitude, or our customers page, which is on the main nav for Amplitude. And that will give you just a flavor into the types of materials that my team creates, the customers who are speaking on our behalf, and the caliber of the content that they're creating with us.
Awesome. So we'll include those links in the show notes. But Aly, thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it and love the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me for this episode. My key takeaway is how, most of the points we talked about came back to focusing on value and giving to your customer. It's so easy to think about advocacy as this one-sided ask to your customer. Really, what that does is it builds up internal roadblocks and it makes you unsure during your outreach. So this sounds simpler than it actually is, but align internally with the required teams, give value and delight the customer, and have that process in place to make the ask, and it's going to make your world of advocacy a whole lot easier. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and click subscribe or shoot us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And as always, I'll be back every Tuesday with a new episode.